Creativity and innovation. Sources of inspiration. Introduction. The spark of human ingenuity. What makes humans uniquely creative? From the cave paintings of Lascaux to the digital masterpieces of today, from Einstein's revolutionary theories to a child's imaginative play, creativity represents one of our most remarkable capabilities. It's the force behind every invention, artistic masterpiece, scientific breakthrough, and innovative solution that has shaped our world. Creativity isn't just about producing art or making scientific discoveries. It's the mental process that allows us to see connections where others see separation, to find solutions where others see only problems, and to imagine possibilities where others see only limitations. Every day, millions of people engage in creative acts, from cooking a new recipe to solving workplace challenges, from writing a heartfelt message to finding a new route to work. But what exactly is creativity? How does the creative process work in our minds? Can creativity be enhanced, taught, or systematically developed? These questions have fascinated psychologists, neuroscientists, educators, and innovators for decades, leading to groundbreaking research that reveals the intricate mechanisms behind our most creative moments. Today, we'll explore the fascinating world of creativity and innovation, examining different types of thinking that fuel creative processes, understanding how ideas develop from initial sparks to breakthrough moments, and discovering practical techniques that can enhance creative output. We'll also delve into the mysterious connections between creativity and mental health, the role of synesthesia in creative perception, and the methods used by the world's most innovative minds. Creativity isn't a mysterious gift bestowed upon a chosen few. It's a complex cognitive process that can be understood, developed, and enhanced. Whether you're an artist seeking inspiration, a business professional looking for innovative solutions, or simply someone curious about the workings of the creative mind, this journey will provide valuable insights into one of humanity's most precious capabilities: divergent thinking, the art of generating possibilities. Understanding divergent thinking. Divergent thinking is the cognitive process of generating multiple, creative solutions to a single problem. Unlike convergent thinking, which focuses on finding the single best answer, divergent thinking explores numerous possibilities, embracing ambiguity and uncertainty as gateways to innovation. This type of thinking is characterized by fluency, flexibility, originality, and elaboration. Fluency refers to the ability to generate many ideas quickly. Flexibility involves shifting between different categories or approaches. Originality means producing unique or uncommon responses. Elaboration is the ability to develop and refine ideas with rich detail. Divergent thinking doesn't follow linear logic. Instead, it makes unexpected connections, combines unrelated concepts, and explores unconventional pathways. It's the mental process behind brainstorming sessions, artistic creation, and innovative problem-solving. The neuroscience of divergent thinking. Recent brain imaging studies reveal that divergent thinking involves a complex network of brain regions working together. The default mode network, typically active during rest and mind-wandering, becomes highly engaged during creative thinking. This network includes the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and angular gyrus. Simultaneously, the executive attention network, involving the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and anterior cingulate cortex, helps evaluate and refine ideas. The interplay between these networks, sometimes called the creative network, allows for both free-flowing idea generation and critical evaluation. Neurotransmitters also play crucial roles. Dopamine, associated with reward and motivation, facilitates creative thinking by enhancing cognitive flexibility and openness to new experiences. Norepinephrine levels must be optimally balanced. Too high creates anxiety that inhibits creativity, while too low reduces motivation and focus. Characteristics of highly divergent thinkers. People who excel at divergent thinking often share certain characteristics. Tolerance for ambiguity. They're comfortable with uncertainty and can work effectively without clear-cut answers or defined endpoints. Openness to experience. They actively seek new experiences, ideas, and perspectives, viewing novelty as opportunity rather than threat. Intellectual curiosity. They ask questions constantly, wondering what if and why not about everything they encounter. Cognitive flexibility. They can easily shift between different concepts, perspectives, or approaches without getting stuck in rigid thinking patterns. Risk-taking. They're willing to pursue unconventional ideas even when success isn't guaranteed. Playfulness. They maintain a childlike sense of wonder and play, seeing exploration and experimentation as enjoyable activities. Developing divergent thinking skills. Question everything. Develop the habit of asking multiple questions about any situation. Instead of accepting the first explanation, explore alternatives and possibilities. Practice free association. Regularly engage in exercises where you let your mind wander freely from one idea to another without judgment or censorship. Embrace constraints. Paradoxically, creative constraints can enhance divergent thinking by forcing you to find novel solutions within boundaries. Cross-pollinate ideas. Deliberately expose yourself to diverse fields, cultures, and perspectives. The intersection of different domains often produces the most creative insights. Defer judgment. During idea generation phases, suspend critical evaluation. The goal is quantity and variety first, quality assessment later. Use random stimuli. Introduce random words, images, or concepts into your thinking process to trigger unexpected associations and new directions. Applications in different fields. Scientific research. Divergent thinking drives hypothesis generation, experimental design innovation, and theoretical breakthroughs. Scientists who can envision multiple explanations for phenomena are more likely to make significant discoveries. Business innovation. Companies use divergent thinking for product development, market expansion, and problem solving. Organizations that encourage diverse perspectives and unconventional ideas often outperform more rigid competitors. Education. Teaching methods that promote divergent thinking help students develop critical thinking skills, creativity, and adaptability, crucial capabilities for navigating an uncertain future. Therapy and counseling. Mental health professionals use divergent thinking to help clients explore multiple perspectives, generate coping strategies, and find new ways of understanding their experiences. Barriers to divergent thinking. Several factors can inhibit divergent thinking. Fear of failure. Worry about making mistakes or being judged can prevent people from exploring unconventional ideas. Conformity pressure. Social expectations and group pressure can discourage original thinking in favor of accepted norms. Time constraints. Rushed decision-making processes often default to familiar solutions rather than exploring creative alternatives. Expertise paradox. While knowledge is essential for creativity, excessive expertise can sometimes create mental rigidity that inhibits fresh perspectives. Perfectionism. The desire for perfect solutions can prevent the exploration of imperfect but potentially valuable ideas. Convergent thinking. Finding the best solution. The nature of convergent thinking. Convergent thinking is the cognitive process focused on finding the single best solution to a well-defined problem. It involves logical reasoning, critical analysis, and systematic evaluation of options to arrive at the most appropriate answer. While divergent thinking expands possibilities, convergent thinking narrows them down to the most effective solutions. This type of thinking is essential for making decisions, solving technical problems, and implementing creative ideas. It requires analytical skills, logical reasoning, and the ability to evaluate ideas against specific criteria such as feasibility, effectiveness, and practicality. Convergent thinking often follows divergent thinking in the creative process. After generating multiple possibilities through divergent thinking, convergent thinking helps select and refine the most promising ideas for implementation. The cognitive mechanisms. Convergent thinking relies heavily on working memory, which allows us to hold and manipulate multiple pieces of information simultaneously. The prefrontal cortex, particularly the dorsolateral region, plays a crucial role in this process by managing attention, maintaining focus, and coordinating complex reasoning. Unlike the broad network activation seen in divergent thinking, convergent thinking shows more focused brain activity. The left hemisphere, associated with logical processing and language, becomes particularly active during convergent thinking tasks. The process involves several cognitive operations. Analysis, breaking complex problems into component parts for systematic examination. Synthesis, combining information from different sources to create comprehensive understanding. Evaluation, assessing options against predetermined criteria or standards. Deduction, drawing logical conclusions from available information and established principles. Characteristics of strong convergent thinkers. Individuals who excel at convergent thinking typically demonstrate analytical precision. They can dissect complex problems methodically, identifying key components and relationships. Logical consistency. Their reasoning follows clear, logical sequences without contradictions or gaps. Objective evaluation. They can assess ideas and solutions based on merit rather than personal preference or bias. Focus and persistence. They maintain concentration on specific problems until reaching satisfactory solutions. Systematic approach. They follow structured methods and procedures when solving problems. Attention to detail. They notice subtle differences and nuances that might affect solution quality. The role in creative process. Convergent thinking plays several crucial roles in creativity. Idea refinement. Raw creative ideas often need development and refinement to become viable solutions. Convergent thinking provides the analytical tools necessary for this process. Feasibility assessment. Creative ideas must be evaluated for practical implementation. Convergent thinking helps determine what's possible within existing constraints. Quality control. Not all creative ideas are good ideas. Convergent thinking provides the critical evaluation necessary to identify the most promising concepts. Implementation planning. Moving from creative concept to practical reality requires systematic planning and logical sequencing that convergent thinking facilitates. Developing convergent thinking skills. Practice logical reasoning. Engage with puzzles, mathematical problems, and logical games that require systematic thinking. Learn evaluation frameworks. Develop familiarity with various criteria and methods for assessing ideas, solutions, and proposals. Study case examples. Analyze successful solutions in your field to understand effective problem-solving approaches. Practice decision-making. Regularly make decisions using systematic approaches that weigh pros and cons objectively. Develop critical thinking. Question assumptions, examine evidence, and evaluate arguments for logical consistency. Use structured methods. Learn and apply problem-solving frameworks like root cause analysis, cost-benefit analysis, or decision matrices. Balancing divergent and convergent thinking. The most effective creative processes integrate both thinking styles. Diamond thinking models suggest starting with convergent thinking to clearly define the problem, expanding through divergent thinking to generate possibilities, then converging again to select and refine solutions. Double diamond process. This design thinking framework uses 4 phases: discover divergent, define convergent, develop divergent, and deliver convergent. creating two diamond shapes that represent the expansion and contraction of possibilities. The key is knowing when to employ each type of thinking. Early in creative processes, divergent thinking generates raw material. Later stages require convergent thinking for refinement and implementation. Switching between modes at appropriate times maximizes creative effectiveness. Potential limitations. Excessive reliance on convergent thinking can create limitations. Premature closure. Rushing to solutions without adequate exploration of alternatives can lead to suboptimal outcomes. Overanalysis. Excessive analysis can lead to analysis paralysis, where decision-making becomes impossible due to overthinking. Rigidity. Strong focus on logical consistency might prevent consideration of unconventional but valuable solutions. Conservative bias. Convergent thinking tends toward proven, safe solutions rather than innovative risks. Lateral thinking, breaking mental patterns. Edward de Bono's revolutionary concept. Lateral thinking, coined by Edward de Bono in 1967, represents a deliberate method for thinking differently about problems and situations. Unlike vertical thinking, which follows logical, sequential steps, lateral thinking seeks to disrupt normal thought patterns and approach problems from unexpected angles. De Bono described lateral thinking as seeking to solve problems through an indirect and creative approach, using reasoning that is not immediately obvious. It's about escaping the tyranny of dominant ideas and exploring the solution space beyond conventional boundaries. The term lateral comes from the idea of moving sideways from established thought patterns rather than digging deeper into the same logical furrow. It's about changing perceptions, generating alternatives, and breaking free from limiting assumptions. Core principles of lateral thinking. Suspension of judgment. Lateral thinking requires temporarily setting aside critical evaluation to explore ideas that might initially seem illogical or impractical. Random entry points. Instead of starting with the obvious aspects of a problem, lateral thinking deliberately chooses random or unusual starting points to generate fresh perspectives. Provocation and movement. Ideas don't need to be immediately useful or correct. They serve as stepping stones to new insights, even if they seem provocative or impossible initially. Alternative perspectives. Every situation can be viewed from multiple angles. Lateral thinking systematically explores different viewpoints to uncover hidden possibilities. Breaking assumptions. Most problems contain unstated assumptions that limit thinking. Lateral thinking actively challenges these assumptions to open new solution pathways. Lateral thinking techniques. Random word technique. Select a random word from a dictionary and force connections between this word and your problem. The unexpected associations often generate novel insights. For example, if you're trying to improve customer service and randomly select umbrella, you might think about protection, coverage, portability, or opening/closing mechanisms, leading to ideas about protective policies, comprehensive coverage, mobile service, or flexible service options. Reversal technique. Instead of asking, "How can we solve this problem?" ask, "How can we make this problem worse?" The reverse solutions often point toward innovative approaches. Why ladder? Keep asking why to drill down to fundamental purposes and assumptions. Often, the real problem is different from the apparent problem. Concept extraction. Extract the essential concept from successful solutions in other fields and apply it to your current challenge. Provocative questions. Ask deliberately provocative questions like, what if gravity worked sideways? Or what if customers paid us to take our products? These impossible scenarios can trigger creative insights. Six Thinking Hats Method. De Bono's Six Thinking Hats is a structured lateral thinking technique that ensures comprehensive exploration of problems. White Hat. Focus on facts, figures, and objective information. What do we know? What do we need to know? Red hat. Explore emotions, feelings, and intuitions without justification. What does your gut tell you? Black hat. Critical thinking and caution. What could go wrong? What are the risks and downsides? Yellow hat. Positive thinking and optimism. What are the benefits? What could go right? Green hat. Creative thinking and alternatives. What are the possibilities? How can we think differently? Blue hat. Process control and thinking about thinking. Are we using the right approach? What should we do next? Applications across domains. Business innovation. Companies use lateral thinking for product development, market expansion, and competitive advantage. 3M's Post-it notes emerged from lateral thinking about failed adhesives. Education. Teachers use lateral thinking techniques to help students approach learning challenges differently, encouraging creative problem-solving skills. Scientific research. Breakthrough discoveries often result from lateral thinking approaches that challenge conventional scientific assumptions. Conflict resolution. Lateral thinking helps find win-win solutions by reframing conflicts and exploring unexpected common ground. Personal problem solving. Individuals can apply lateral thinking to career decisions, relationship challenges, and personal development goals. The neuroscience behind lateral thinking. Brain imaging reveals that lateral thinking activates different neural networks compared to conventional problem solving. The right hemisphere, associated with holistic processing and pattern recognition, shows increased activity during lateral thinking tasks. The anterior temporal lobe, crucial for semantic processing and insight formation, becomes highly active during lateral thinking. This region helps form remote associations between seemingly unrelated concepts. Lateral thinking also involves decreased activity in the left hemisphere's language areas, suggesting a temporary suspension of verbal logical processing in favor of more intuitive, pattern-based thinking. Developing lateral thinking skills. Practice daily provocations. Regularly ask yourself provocative questions about routine situations. What if elevators moved horizontally? What if meetings were held while walking? Seek analogies. Look for solutions in unrelated fields. How do ants solve traffic jams? How do plants compete for resources? Embrace absurdity. Don't immediately dismiss absurd ideas. Use them as stepping stones to practical innovations. Change physical perspectives. Literally change your physical position when thinking about problems. Stand up, lie down, or move to different locations. Use constraints creatively. Impose artificial limitations to force creative solutions. What if you had only $10? What if you had only 10 minutes? Brainstorming. Collective creative power. The origins and evolution. Brainstorming, developed by advertising executive Alex Osborne in the 1940s, revolutionized how groups approach creative problem solving. Osborne observed that traditional meetings often stifled creativity through premature criticism and social conformity pressures. His brainstorming method created a structured environment for free-flowing idea generation. The original brainstorming rules were simple but powerful. Defer judgment, strive for quantity, build on others' ideas, and encourage wild ideas. These principles created psychological safety for creative expression and established that creativity could be systematically cultivated rather than waiting for random inspiration. Over decades, brainstorming has evolved beyond Osborne's original framework. Modern research has identified both strengths and limitations of traditional brainstorming, leading to numerous variations and improvements that address these challenges. Classic brainstorming principles. Defer judgment. During the idea generation phase, all criticism, evaluation, and negative comments are prohibited. This creates psychological safety and prevents the premature elimination of potentially valuable ideas. Strive for quantity. The goal is to generate as many ideas as possible. Quantity often leads to quality because more ideas increase the likelihood of discovering breakthrough concepts. Build on others' ideas. Participants should use others' ideas as springboards for new suggestions. This collaborative building creates idea momentum and often leads to unexpected combinations. Encourage wild ideas. Unusual, seemingly impractical ideas are welcomed because they can inspire more feasible solutions or lead to breakthrough innovations. The psychology of group creativity. Group brainstorming involves complex psychological dynamics that can either enhance or inhibit creative output. Social facilitation. The presence of others can increase motivation and energy, leading to enhanced performance on familiar tasks. Cognitive stimulation. Exposure to others' ideas can trigger new associations and perspectives that individuals might not reach independently. Diversity benefits. Groups with diverse backgrounds, expertise, and perspectives often generate more creative solutions than homogeneous groups. Synergy effects. Group interaction can create emergent ideas that no individual member would have produced alone. However, group dynamics can also create challenges. Production blocking. Only one person can speak at a time, potentially causing idea loss when participants forget thoughts while waiting their turn. Evaluation apprehension. Despite no judgment rules, participants may still fear criticism or ridicule, leading to self-censorship. Social loafing. Some participants may exert less effort in group settings, relying on others to generate ideas. Conformity pressure. Groups may converge on similar ideas rather than exploring diverse possibilities. Variations and improvements. Brainwriting. Participants write ideas individually before sharing, addressing production blocking and allowing simultaneous idea generation. Electronic brainstorming. Using digital platforms enables anonymous contribution, reducing evaluation apprehension and social inhibition. Nominal group technique. Combines individual idea generation with group discussion, capturing benefits of both individual and group creativity. Round-robin brainstorming. Structured turn-taking ensures equal participation and prevents dominant personalities from overshadowing quieter members. Reverse brainstorming. Focus on how to cause problems rather than solve them, often revealing unexpected solution pathways. Starbursting. Instead of generating solutions, participants generate questions about the problem, ensuring comprehensive understanding before solution development. Effective brainstorming facilitation. Prepare thoroughly. Clearly define the problem, provide relevant background information, and ensure participants understand the objectives and rules. Create the right environment. Use comfortable, informal settings that encourage openness and creativity. Remove hierarchical barriers and status symbols. Manage group dynamics. Ensure equal participation. Prevent dominant personalities from overwhelming others, and maintain energy and enthusiasm. Time management. Balance idea generation time with evaluation phases. Typically, dedicate more time to generation than evaluation. Document everything. Record all ideas without editing or filtering. Even seemingly poor ideas might contain valuable elements or inspire better solutions. Follow up. After brainstorming sessions, systematically evaluate ideas and develop implementation plans for the most promising concepts. Digital age brainstorming. Modern technology has transformed brainstorming capabilities. Virtual brainstorming. Remote teams can collaborate effectively using digital whiteboards, video conferencing, and collaborative software platforms. AI-assisted brainstorming. Artificial intelligence can suggest related concepts, provide random stimuli, or identify patterns in generated ideas. Crowdsourcing. Organizations can tap into global creativity through online platforms that enable large-scale idea generation. Real-time collaboration. Digital tools enable simultaneous editing, voting, and categorization of ideas during brainstorming sessions. Industry applications. Product development. Companies use brainstorming to generate new product concepts, improve existing products, and identify market opportunities. Marketing and advertising. Creative teams brainstorm campaign concepts, messaging strategies, and innovative ways to reach target audiences. Problem solving. Organizations use brainstorming to address operational challenges, improve processes, and overcome obstacles. Strategic planning. Leadership teams brainstorm future scenarios, growth opportunities, and competitive responses. Innovation management. Companies integrate brainstorming into systematic innovation processes, using it to generate ideas for further development and testing. Measuring brainstorming effectiveness. Effective brainstorming assessment considers multiple dimensions. Idea quantity. Total number of ideas generated provides one measure of session productivity. Idea quality. Evaluation of originality, feasibility, and potential impact of generated concepts. Participant engagement. Assessment of involvement levels, satisfaction, and perceived value of the session. Implementation success. Long-term tracking of how many brainstormed ideas are actually implemented and their outcomes. Process efficiency. Time investment relative to useful output and participant satisfaction with the process. The incubation period, when ideas simmer. Understanding incubation. The incubation period represents one of creativity's most mysterious and fascinating aspects. It's the time when we step away from conscious problem solving, yet our minds continue working on challenges beneath the surface of awareness. During incubation, the brain makes new connections, reorganizes information, and often arrives at insights that eluded conscious effort. Henri Poincaré, the famous mathematician, first described this phenomenon after experiencing a sudden mathematical insight while boarding a bus. He realized that his mind had been working on the problem unconsciously during a period when he wasn't actively thinking about it. This observation launched decades of research into incubation's role in creativity. Incubation isn't simply about waiting for inspiration to strike randomly. It's an active, though unconscious, cognitive process where the mind continues processing information, forming new associations, and exploring solution possibilities without conscious direction. The neuroscience of incubation. Modern brain imaging reveals fascinating insights about what happens during incubation periods. The default mode network, active during rest and mind wandering, shows increased connectivity and communication between brain regions that don't typically interact. During incubation, the brain exhibits what researchers call diffuse attention, a state where attention isn't focused on specific tasks but spreads broadly across many mental processes. This diffuse state allows for remote associations between seemingly unrelated concepts. The hippocampus, crucial for memory consolidation, becomes highly active during incubation periods. It replays experiences, combines information from different time periods, and creates new memory associations that can lead to creative insights. Neurotransmitter changes also occur during incubation. Alpha waves, associated with relaxed alertness, increase. Acetylcholine levels rise, enhancing the brain's ability to form new connections. These neurochemical changes create optimal conditions for creative breakthroughs. Types of incubation activities. Passive incubation. Completely stepping away from the problem without any related mental activity. This might involve sleep, meditation, or engaging in completely unrelated tasks. Active incubation. Engaging in activities that keep the mind occupied but don't require intense concentration, such as walking, gardening, or routine physical tasks. Related incubation. Working on tangentially related problems or exploring adjacent areas that might provide insights into the main challenge. Diverse incubation. exposing yourself to varied experiences, ideas, and environments that might trigger unexpected connections. Factors that enhance incubation. Adequate preparation. Incubation works best after intensive conscious effort. The mind needs substantial raw material to work with during the unconscious processing period. Optimal duration. Incubation periods need to be long enough for unconscious processing, but not so long that initial insights fade. Research suggests hours to days work better than minutes or weeks. Relaxed mental state. Stress and anxiety inhibit incubation effectiveness. Relaxed, positive emotional states facilitate the creative processes that occur during incubation. Physical movement. Walking, swimming, or other rhythmic physical activities often enhance incubation by promoting blood flow to the brain and inducing relaxed mental states. Environmental change. New environments can stimulate fresh perspectives and provide novel stimuli that trigger creative insights. Sleep. REM sleep periods are particularly effective for incubation, as the brain processes memories and forms new connections during dreaming. Cultural and historical examples. Many groundbreaking discoveries emerged from incubation periods. Kekulé's benzene ring. Auguste Kekulé discovered the ring structure of benzene after daydreaming about a snake eating its own tail. Einstein's relativity. Einstein developed relativity concepts while engaging in combinatory play, letting his mind wander and make free associations. Beatles' Yesterday. Paul McCartney woke up with the complete melody for Yesterday in his head, initially worried he had unconsciously plagiarized it. Mendeleev's periodic table. The periodic table's organization came to Mendeleev in a dream after struggling with the arrangement consciously. Practical applications. Personal problem solving. When facing difficult decisions or creative challenges, deliberately schedule incubation periods after intensive conscious work. Professional development. Build incubation time into project schedules, recognizing that stepping away from problems can accelerate rather than delay solutions. Educational settings. Teach students about incubation benefits and encourage them to take breaks during challenging learning tasks. Team processes. Design team meetings with incubation breaks between intense problem-solving sessions. Innovation management. Organizational innovation processes should include incubation phases between idea generation and evaluation stages. Barriers to effective incubation. Impatience. Pressure to find immediate solutions can prevent the patience necessary for incubation to work effectively. Overthinking. Continuing to consciously wrestle with problems during intended incubation periods prevents the necessary mental shift. Stress and anxiety. High stress levels inhibit the relaxed mental states that facilitate incubation processes. Environmental pressures. Workplace cultures that view stepping away from problems as unproductive can discourage effective incubation. Technology distractions. Constant connectivity and information input can prevent the quiet mental space necessary for incubation. Optimizing incubation strategies. Plan incubation. Deliberately schedule breaks after intensive work periods rather than leaving incubation to chance. Vary activities. Experiment with different incubation activities, physical exercise, nature exposure, artistic pursuits, or meditative practices. Trust the process. Develop confidence in incubation's effectiveness rather than feeling guilty about stepping away from problems. Capture insights. Keep notebooks or recording devices available to capture insights when they emerge during incubation periods. Combine with other techniques. Use incubation in combination with other creativity methods for maximum effectiveness. The aha moment. When insight strikes. The nature of insight. The aha moment, or eureka experience, represents the sudden, often unexpected emergence of a solution or understanding that was previously elusive. These moments of insight feel qualitatively different from gradual problem solving. They arrive as complete, often surprising realizations that immediately feel correct and illuminating. Insight moments are characterized by several distinct features. They feel sudden and unexpected. Even after long periods of struggle, the solution appears complete rather than partial. There's immediate confidence in the answer's correctness, and the experience often generates positive emotions and feelings of satisfaction. These experiences have fascinated psychologists because they seem to emerge from nowhere. Yet research reveals they result from complex unconscious processing that suddenly breaks through to conscious awareness. The four-stage model of insight: preparation, intensive conscious work on the problem, gathering information, trying various approaches, and becoming familiar with all aspects of the challenge. This stage builds the knowledge base necessary for later insight. Incubation, stepping away from conscious problem solving while unconscious processing continues. During this stage, the mind reorganizes information and explores new connections without directed effort. Illumination, the sudden emergence of the solution into conscious awareness. This is the classic aha moment, when the answer appears complete and obvious. Verification, testing and refining the insight to ensure it actually solves the problem. Not all insights prove correct upon examination, so verification is crucial. This model, originally proposed by Graham Wallace in 1926, remains influential, though modern research suggests the stages are less discrete and more interconnected than originally thought. The neuroscience of insight. Brain imaging studies reveal fascinating patterns during insight moments. Right hemisphere activation. The right anterior temporal lobe shows a sudden burst of activity about 300 milliseconds before people report their aha moment. Alpha wave suppression. Just before insight, alpha waves in the visual cortex suppress irrelevant information, allowing the new solution to emerge clearly. Gamma wave burst. High-frequency gamma waves spike dramatically at the moment of insight, indicating synchronized neural activity across brain regions. Anterior cingulate activity. This region, involved in monitoring conflicts and detecting relevant information, shows increased activity before and during insights. Reduced left hemisphere activity. The left hemisphere's verbal processing areas show decreased activity, possibly allowing right hemisphere insights to emerge. Types of insight problems. Restructuring problems. These require changing your mental representation of the problem. The classic 9-dot problem requires thinking outside the box literally. Remote association problems. These involve finding connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. For example, finding a word that connects cottage, Swiss, and cake, answer cheese. Constraint relaxation problems. These require identifying and relaxing unnecessary constraints you've imposed on the solution space. Verbal insights. Word puzzles, riddles, and linguistic problems that require sudden shifts in interpretation or meaning. Visual insights. Problems involving spatial relationships, pattern recognition, or visual restructuring. Factors that facilitate insight. Positive mood. Research consistently shows that positive emotions facilitate insight by increasing cognitive flexibility and remote association abilities. Relaxed awareness. A calm, alert mental state without intense concentration or stress promotes insight emergence. Diverse perspectives. Exposure to different viewpoints and approaches increases the likelihood of insight breakthroughs. Sleep and rest. Many insights occur during or immediately after sleep, when the brain continues processing problems unconsciously. Physical exercise. Moderate physical activity can promote insight by increasing blood flow to the brain and inducing relaxed mental states. Environmental novelty. New environments can trigger fresh perspectives that lead to insight moments. The role of expertise. The relationship between expertise and insight is complex. Domain knowledge benefits. Deep expertise provides the rich knowledge base necessary for meaningful insights within a field. Expertise limitations. Extensive knowledge can create mental rigidity that inhibits fresh perspectives and unconventional solutions. Cross-domain insights. Some of the most significant insights occur when experts apply knowledge from one domain to problems in another field. Beginner's mind. Sometimes lack of expertise allows for insights that experts miss due to assumptions and conventional thinking patterns. Insight in different domains. Scientific discovery. Many scientific breakthroughs emerge from insight moments when researchers suddenly see patterns or connections they previously missed. Mathematical problem solving. Mathematical insights often involve sudden recognition of patterns, relationships, or novel approaches to proofs. Artistic creation. Artists frequently describe sudden insights about composition, technique, or meaning that transform their work. Business innovation. Entrepreneurial insights about market opportunities, solutions to customer problems, or innovative business models often emerge suddenly. Personal problem solving. Individual insights about relationships, career decisions, or life challenges can be transformative. Barriers to insight. Functional fixedness. The inability to see new uses for familiar objects or approaches limits insight possibilities. Confirmation bias. The tendency to seek information confirming existing beliefs prevents the perspective shifts necessary for insight. Stress and anxiety. High stress levels narrow attention and inhibit the broad associative thinking that facilitates insights. Time pressure. Rushed problem solving often prevents the incubation and reflection necessary for insight development. Overanalysis. Excessive conscious analysis can interfere with the unconscious processing that leads to insights. Cultivating insight ability. Practice insight problems. Regular exposure to puzzles and problems requiring insight builds relevant cognitive skills. Develop emotional awareness. Learn to recognize and manage emotions that either facilitate or inhibit insight. Cultivate curiosity. Maintain active interest in diverse topics and perspectives that can provide raw material for insights. Practice mindfulness. Develop awareness of mental states and the ability to shift between focused and diffuse attention modes. Embrace uncertainty. Build tolerance for ambiguity and the uncomfortable feeling of not knowing that often precedes insight. Creative block. When ideas won't flow. Understanding creative block. Creative block represents the temporary inability to access creative abilities or generate new ideas despite desire and effort. It's a universal experience that affects artists, writers, scientists, business professionals, and anyone engaged in creative work. The frustration of creative block can be intense because it often strikes when motivation is high, but productive output remains elusive. Creative blocks aren't simply about lacking ideas. They often involve psychological, emotional, or cognitive barriers that prevent access to creative abilities that normally function well. Understanding these barriers is crucial for developing effective strategies to overcome them. The experience of creative block varies significantly among individuals and situations. Some people experience complete creative shutdown, while others generate ideas but feel dissatisfied with their quality. Some blocks are brief and situational, while others persist for extended periods and significantly impact productivity and well-being. Types of creative blocks. Mental block. Psychological barriers such as perfectionism, fear of failure, or excessive self-criticism that inhibit idea generation and creative expression. Emotional block. Negative emotions like anxiety, depression, or stress that create mental states incompatible with creative thinking. Environmental block. External factors such as noise, distractions, uncomfortable working conditions, or lack of resources that interfere with creative processes.